we have reached the close of the business section of this AGM today. And now we move on to the more exciting part of the program, which is our guest speakers. I would like to introduce Marisa Jurgens, who is an MC member from Pretoria, and she is a disability activist and investment banking guru. She is a powerhouse within the disability sector. We are very proud and privileged to have her here with us and on the MC. So Marisa will be the first presenter. So I'll hand over now to Marisa.
Good morning, everybody. I have the honor today to introduce to you Elizabeth Louw from the South African Guide Dogs Association for the Blind. Elizabeth is the head of the mobility and training division at Guide Dogs for the Blind. For many of you who haven't heard or don't know what mobility training is, mobility training encompasses the training of to make it possible for you and me to be able to independently walk and attend activities and events like this today. And that is normally, in our case, would mean training to use a white cane, a long cane, all the different types of canes that's available. And then, of course, later also, if you are so interested to move on to guide dog training. Elizabeth heads up the training division where these mobility trainers are trained. She also heads up the facilitators of this training division. And then, of course, she's also the head of the mobility trainers that has been placed in the community. And that is one of the biggest advantages that we have here in South Africa, that we have a dedicated training center for mobility trainers. That is something which has made such a difference to my own life when I had to go through mobility training. And I would encourage all of you afterwards to have a word with Elizabeth about how mobility training can make an impact on your own life. It's my big honor to now introduce Elizabeth Louw. Thank you.
Hello, thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. I feel like I am getting an Academy Award now. It's wonderful to be here and to be invited. That is such a special thing. And I think South African Guide Dog Association for the Blind has had a lovely relationship with Retina SA. I have not been there. I know the slide says 70 years of service. That's not 70 years that I've been there, but our organization has been around for 70 years. And in that time, it started with the guide dog services. And over time, we've added services onto that. And my department, we don't deal with dogs at all, but I am going to talk to you about the dogs as well, because it is something that your members may be interested in. And this service that I am the head of, we'll have our 50th anniversary next year. So it's a newer service, but it's a very valuable service. And in fact, we help more people through my department than we do with dogs. So more people are helped with white cane and other services than actual guide dogs. So we are celebrating our big birthday this year, 70 years of service, and guide dogs and white canes. And I brought the white cane with me today. I always like to bring this. I always say, I so much prefer the white cane because I don't have to take it for a busy. We don't have to feed it. We don't have to groom it. We don't have to do anything other than maintain the tip and make sure that it's in good standing. But this is one of the tools of the trade that the orientation and mobility practitioner uses. But a lot of people are very, very scared and intimidated by this particular item. The white cane or the long cane is considered the ultimate symbol of visual impairment. And it's something that people need to be ready for before they can learn to use it. It can be extremely intimidating. It's also a symbol to others that the person holding it has a visual impairment. It's not only a useful tool for them, but it's a useful tool for others to actually understand and recognize that somebody is living with a visual impairment and how they can interact with that person. I am very white cane biased, but I do need to talk about the dogs. And actually, the similarity is that we use a guide dog as a tool, and we use a white cane as a tool for the same purpose, for independence and for orientation and mobility. Orientation and mobility, it's a big term people don't know. It basically means, where are you in space and how can you move in that space and how can you move safely? And that safely is the important thing. So the guide dog and the white cane, you don't need to be blind to have either. There are varying levels of sight, as we all know. I think most of us know very well in this room. And somebody who has a guide dog has to have limited mobility. They don't have to have no sight at all. So we need to keep that in mind. Most of the time, we like people to have good orientation and mobility before they use a guide dog. So using a white cane first and learning the skills of the white cane would be important before you move on to a guide dog. A guide dog is a big commitment. It is a big commitment because that dog is with you 24/7. If you are a cat person and not a dog person, you're not going to enjoy a guide dog. So you have to consider that and the commitment that you are making. It's going to make a huge difference in your life, but you are going to be committed to this guide dog. So services also, people tend to think that, they get stuck on the name guide dogs. SA Guide Dogs. Whenever I say I work at SA Guide Dogs, the first thing everyone wants to do is talk about dogs with me. Dogs, 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 because that's what everybody sees, that the name tells you what we do. But the service is so much wider. And that orientation mobility department, when I say I don't work with dogs, people are like, well, then what do you do there? You can't be working at guide dogs if you don't work with dogs, because that's what it's about. So the dog services, yes, guide dogs. We also do assistance dogs, and we also do autism support dogs. The other two kinds of dog services are not related to visual impairment. So that's why I'm only talking about guide dogs. If somebody out there is interested in a guide dog, please don't phone me, because I don't do dogs. But I can put you in touch with somebody who does. So our organization has a dog department, and they do all the training and everything else. So you could actually get in touch with me. I put you in touch with someone else. But the guide dog is the one thing that you have to be really committed and definitely certain that you want before you apply. But also, just because you apply doesn't mean you will get one. You are more likely to get a white cane than you are a guide dog. Because to have a guide dog, you have to have a purpose for its use. You need to be able to go somewhere. You need to have a life that is busy. You need to have work for that dog to do. Otherwise, you will have a fat and lazy dog. And that's not what we want. It's a lot of time and effort and work to train a guide dog. And the guide dog's purpose is companionship, definitely companionship, but also to be able to work for you and to assist you. So having a purpose for that dog is a very big thing. So white cane training or orientation mobility, and I keep saying white cane training, but actually it's not just that. Our training involves so much more. And many of the trainings that we do don't involve a cane at all, especially with people who have a higher level of vision. We don't need to provide them with a cane because it's not going to be of use to them. But that decision to use a cane would be decided by you and by the orientation mobility practitioner who comes to assess your needs. So one of the big things that we have is we do have a lot of difficulty training people with low vision, people whose vision is deteriorating, but they still have a lot of good, useful vision. We have a lot of difficulty, and the difficulty is not that we can't help them, because we can. Orientation mobility involves things such as looking at your home environment, looking to see if your lighting is adequate, looking to see if your home is cluttered. Is there a better way to organize your furniture? Is there a better way to make use of things such as contrast in your bathroom, different colored towels, marking steps with yellow tape, making sure that there is enough contrast within a room for you to be able to identify different features, preparing food. There are so many different things that we could look at. Also non-cane techniques, protective techniques, being able to walk safely around an area by using a protective technique. So there's lots of things and skills that are not just cane orientated. So one of the reasons that we struggle so much with assisting people with low vision is because they believe that we are going to force them to use a white cane and they're not ready. And that's a misconception. Nobody will force anybody to do anything in our services. So our orientation mobility practitioners are trained by us. They are employed in Gauteng only. Unfortunately, our services for O&M practitioners services are only in Gauteng at the moment. And we basically have coverage across the whole of Gauteng. We train adults and children, and we actually do have a couple of children with retinal conditions who we are working with. And we provide that service free of charge. We also provide our assistive devices free of charge. That doesn't mean you can't make a donation if you want to. Of course you can, but we don't charge you a fee for that service. The dog services are national. So in that case, anybody living anywhere in the country can actually apply for a guide dog, and the assistance will be provided to them anywhere in the country. We are not at the same level with our orientation mobility services. Also with this orientation mobility, our practitioner comes to your home and they visit you in your home, and they look to see what you do in your home environment, and they assist you from that point of view. So it is a very hands-on kind of service. And we have had a few, oh, I forgot I had that slide. So only in Gauteng, free to individuals, any range of vision loss we work with. Our qualified and experienced O&M practitioners come to see you. So I did mention all of those. And our service range includes daily living skills, environmental adaptations, phone use, non-cane and cane skills. So not just the scary cane that is on offer. I think that was all the things. I think my time is up. And here's my contact details. You're welcome to email me or just call. That's the general guide dog number, and ask for Elizabeth. You can even ask for me and I will put you through to the dog people. I'm quite happy to do that. And thank you so much for taking the time to hear about our services today. And we do hope that we have some referrals and that we can assist some people who need our help. Thanks so much.
We're running ahead of time. We are going to have some questions. So we're taking some questions, and somebody will monitor online, and we can take questions from the floor. And have you got a question, Marissa?
Thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you very much. It was great. I just wanted to ask you something more about your independent living and phone skills that you've just mentioned at the end.
Yes.
Exactly how does that work? Is it groups that you attend, or is it also one-on-one?
No, everything we do is one-on-one. We don't do any group teaching of any kind. So everything would be come to you and visit you, whether it's work environment or home environment, and assist you in that space. So were you specifically thinking about the phone use? We are not experts in phone use, and also there are so many phones out there, so many different ranges. But what we tend to do is help people to be functional on their phone, so that they can send messages, that they can send WhatsApp voice notes, and that they can actually interact on their phone independently, because we find that is quite liberating. People want to have privacy when using their phone. They don't want to ask somebody else. So our practitioners have varying levels of skills. It depends which one of them you get, but that is something that we do focus on. It's not our area of expertise, but if we don't know, we'll phone someone to find out, because we have our connections. So we can do most things eventually.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Are there any other questions on the floor? And if so, just put up your hand and Victoria will bring you the mic. No questions online. Is there anybody on the floor? Okay, I would just like, not a question, to make a comment that I have a symbol cane which telescopes and fits into my handbag. And ever since I buried my pride and took out my cane, it's been the most amazing. I think that Moses, when he actually parted the Red Sea, used a white cane, because I went through Tokyo airport with this symbol cane, and it was literally like the parting of the Red Sea. So if anybody is having any doubt about using a symbol cane, when you don't need it, you can pretend you're visual and put it in your pocket or put it in your bag. But when you need it, when it's dark, or you've got steps, or you're really in a strange environment, I really would recommend that you try Symbol Cane. And I hate to tell you, Elizabeth, I haven't had training.
We can fix that.
We'd like to thank you most sincerely for your expertise and your passion. And that's obvious. And I think that Elizabeth, as you know, as you've seen, has got the most amazing empathy with her clients. It's really wonderful. And the home skills that Marissa referred to, even if you don't need mobility training, that home orientation skills are absolutely amazing if you're really battling and within your own environment. So as a small gesture of thanks, Shamila is going to give you a small gift. Thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you. Thanks very much.